says it right on the new $100 bill, folks. They're going to abolish government. It's written in creative and cursive writing, the Declaration of Independence, second paragraph, when it's time to abolish the government. They wrote it on the new $100 bill, which half of it's in gold with a gold inkwell and a gold feather. They're telling you they're going to abolish the government. It's going to happen next year. 2020 is going to be, excuse my French, a shit show. So you better get your food, your water, your energy, and figure it out. They're taking away what in California? Our power. They're turning off our power. They're coming after our water. 2022, 55 gallons a day is all the water you can use, or a $1,000 a day fine. They're starting with California, and it's going to happen everywhere. And the folks that are listening, please understand this. It's not even happened yet. What you think is happening now in your areas, you think it's tough now. I'm sorry to have to say this, but if you're this awake, you can handle it. We're $24 trillion in current debt since 2008. In 2008, the stock market corrected 42%, and over 2 million people lost their homes to bankruptcy. And everything since then has been funded with debt on our children, on the future. And they haven't even collapsed the economy yet, and it's this bad. This is turning us over to China. Everybody's going to be poor, $15 an hour. Foxconn is moving into Wisconsin in the United States, and they're going to make the real estate malls. That's why they have towers on them. They're going to make them into re-education camps to make us Chinese. And we're going to become the manufacturers for the BRIC countries, Brazil, Russia, India, China, South Africa. They're going to be the new debt consumers because it doesn't cost the powers that be anything to print money. And then since they got the whole United States now in massive bankruptcy, massive debt, $1.5 trillion in student loans, another $1.3 trillion in car loans, 2%, get a car. All of this is ramped it up again, and everybody's in the debt servitude poorhouse. And now they're arresting the homeless for just being homeless and putting them in mental institutions. Folks, it's right in front of us, and the thing is that people in the United States, we've never been at war. We've never had our houses bombed. We've never had invading troops. But this is the silent weapons for quiet wars. This is the Big Brother monitoring system. This is the jack up the prices, squeeze you out. They're banning natural gas in new homes here. Well, I thought natural gas could run buses because it was cleaner for the air for everybody. And now they're banning natural gas, no more fireplaces. They're building stack and pack 'em homes everywhere right along the SMART train. The SMART train is going to go all the way up to Canada. It's part of the Mega Region 2050 plan, and they're burning out the entire areas where they're planning on putting the railroads in. And then they're putting in 8 mega dams, they're called, mega dams, in the central basin of California for hydroelectric power for the all-battery world they're planning on. That's why they're getting rid of gas. The dollar's tied to petrodollar. They're going to crash the dollar, come in with the cryptocurrency, tie it to electricity, and they're putting all electric in the air, in satellites, in high-altitude platforms. This is why Elon Musk said all 5G will be transmitted down from all these, quote, satellites I'm putting up there. Solarian Corp down in Manhattan Beach has a contract with PG&E to provide solar power from the sun from radio frequency lasered down to the solar collective farms that they've been putting in Fresno and everywhere else. So everything's going to be battery-powered. Your home's going to run on solar. Your cars are going to be Wi-Fi'd, no more gas stations, and your 5G is going to be beamed down for your Internet. And it's checkmate. You can't touch them up there. That's the plan. That's what they're doing. That's what's happening in real time. World War III started with 9/11, and that's Albert Pike's prophecy from 1886, where he said we'll foment 3 world wars. The First World War will be to take out the Tsars, the Tartarians, out of Russia, where they murdered 40 million Tartarians. Then they went down to Hitler to create the communism, but it wasn't Hitler, it was Himmler. It's always the right person. It's not Obama, it's Joe Biden. It's not Trump. It's Pence. It's the Roman Catholics. The first ship to arrive in Jamestown to found it was called the Freemason, which brought Archbishop Andrew White, the first Roman Catholic bishop, and that's why it's called the White House. Washington, D.C. used to be called Rome, Maryland, before it was called Washington, D.C. Georgetown University Jesuit School was founded 6 months before Washington, D.C. by John Carroll, the richest man in the United States at the time, whose brother was helping write and signed on to the U.S. Constitution. Donald Trump, Fordham University, Jesuit school. Gavin Newsom, governor of California, Jesuit school. Former governor of California, Jerry Brown, minister, Jesuit. These are the men in black, folks. This is who's doing it to us. It's the church. They want to exterminate all religions. Christians fighting Muslims is the end of World War III. Total annihilation. This is their plan. This is what they stated. This is what they're doing. They create to destroy because the males say that the male sperm doesn't die, but a female at menopause loses her rights to give birth. So the male is the creative principle. So we create the feminine divine and we destroy her. That's why they changed the Gregorian calendar. That's why they created Washington, D.C. to destroy Washington, D.C., because on each side of it is Virginia and Maryland, the Virgin Mary. They're very long-term planners. And they got California and New York starting. New York started with the vaccines, mandatory vaccines. Don't let kids in any institutions if you haven't been vaccinated. California, same thing. They passed the same stack and pack laws on the same day in the building codes to make the square footage from 450 square foot minimum to 225 square foot housing on the exact same day, San Francisco and New York building departments. That is impossible unless it's well coordinated. So, I don't know. That's my high horse pontification, so folks, but that's what I'm seeing happening.
Yeah, it's good, Jamie. We are also aware of the community aspect, and we're doing what we can to help people to get into that frame of mind, self-sufficient communities where basically it's agreement. You know, they've unconsciously been agreeing to this all through the years through the marketing that's been put out by the controllers. So it just makes sense to take back your better choices, to make better choices, because it is about survival. And people are just so passive these days that they're agreeing to their own demise. So one of the things we support or acknowledge is the community aspect. You know, what can we do about all this? Well, it's the community, you know, because which is agreement. You're losing your agreement, you're losing your support for the controllers and taking it back to just making sense of living with the natural environment, which we are all for. We're for supporting the natural environment because we've gotten away from that totally. Now it's a support for the military-industrial complex. So getting back to how the indigenous people lived and just making sense of, clean air, clean food, clean water, it's a big challenge. So if Tim has any, do you have any questions, Tim? He's part of the group too, or anybody else?
Oh, I'd just say that all this information is very important to become aware of what's really going on. That it's quite an experience that we're all having here in this physical realm with these authoritarians or brutalitarians having their way with the humans on this planet. I'd ask Jamie, what do you say about the reptilians?
Well, I mean, that's David Icke's introduction, a lot of truth with lies. We can't worry about other world entities. The root word of, if you know the word extraterrestrial, terrestrial means land, so ET means extra lands. I don't know if you got any flat earthers out there, but they've been lying to us about everything, about the shape of the world, who we are, theocosmogony. Alien, the root word is lie in the middle, A-L-I-E. Shape-shifting, reptilians, this, that, other world entities, Stitchin and all these guys, you can get into that. We can't worry about any of that. We have to be the creative principle. We're built from love. We need to find our hearts. And one thing I'll add, too, is we have answers. We wrote past, if you go on my blog, Taboo, T-A-B-U, blog.com, and put in Mendocino or Measure S, November 2014, we passed a legally binding law declaring authority in our community Bill of Rights superseding state, federal, and international laws. And we also gave nature rights to exist, so it had standing in court so we could protect the redwoods, we could protect the fish, we could protect the rivers. It is a legal law still in the books in Mendocino County. Mendocino County was the first to pass to ban GMOs. But the problem was that after we got everybody together, it was like herding cats because we're so spread out. I wanted to go commandeer the county pension fund with $325 million and ask all of us in the county, do you want to support Google and Facebook, or do you want to support local water, local food, local roads? $325 million, folks, we can do a lot with that. But the people didn't have the balls to do it because we weren't suffering enough yet. We're going into a period of intense suffering, and you have to be okay with that. Any type of change, especially as big as this, has to endure, but we have to have better ideas. We have to have what I call new visions of much better ways. Get back to the lands. Get back to knowing your sources. The reason they can control us, our limbic brain, if you get into Mark Passio at all, they got us because we don't know where our sources of life-giving properties are. Where's your food come from? Where's your water come from? Where's your energy come from? Before that was all, we grew our own food, we lived in our farms, we shared seeds, we lived in the season, we ate naturally. There was no word for organic because everything was organic. That was 100 years ago. That went on for millenniums. But we got to stop being obedient. We got to stop listening to them. Turn our backs on them now. It's no longer, we know what they're doing. We know their plan. What is your plan? Turn off your television and tell me your vision. What do you want to see? And then find others in your community. And what I suggest to people that are awakening, there's so many people awakening, guys. And a lot of you, I can tell, have been awake for a while and you felt lonely and isolated. Put out on Facebook, we're having a meetup in whatever town you're living in at so-and-so restaurant or bar at 6 o'clock. Come join us. You'll get people showing up, I guarantee it, wherever you are. And find your tribe, because they're going to shut down the Internet. December 10th coming up here, they're saying $42,500 fine if you have content. And the FCC chairman said, quote, unquote, the barrel is YouTube and the fish are in the water. It's easy to shoot the fish. He's talking about shooting fish in the barrel to give $42,500 fines on YouTube. So am I going to self-censor? I've already been shut down 2 times before and stopped broadcasting what I'm doing because I may be, hit financially. That's what they're doing. They're making everybody self-censor. And what's going to happen when the Internet no longer becomes viable? You have to have biometric ID to log on. Are you going to do it? Are you going to get on a plane? You have to get vaccinated and tattooed? Are you going to do it? You're going to go through checkpoints? You better be able to self-sustain and self-sufficient for a while if you're choosing not to play in their system, because they've had 500 years or more to plan this out. And make no mistake, folks, this is their end game. This is their end times. This is their Luciferian creed. And they're going to be taking back what they deem as rightfully theirs because they can. Do what thou willst, because it's all about indulgence. It's all about them having their way because they can and because they're smarter than us. And they'll tell us what they're going to do, and good luck trying to stop them. Well, they're afraid of us, folks. That's what you need to understand. Otherwise, they wouldn't have kept us in the dark for so long and hidden so many truths from us because they're afraid of our power. So you have to find your own internal power. And what the gentleman was just speaking to is find your inner light. This is all about going within into yourself. And I've been at it since 2007, how to find out what I'm worth. Cost me a marriage, cost me a lot. Cost me a lot of family and friends for waking up. But that's the path I chose to take because I'd rather be awake than asleep, and I'm more powerful when I'm awake because they can't own me anymore. I'm not going anywhere. Go ahead, take me out. My spirit's going to stay here, folks, and I'm going to come back and I'm going to get you again. I'm going to be more powerful the next time because I know my power now. I know who I am. And that's what each of us has to find out, our own inner strength, and don't worry about the echo. People will be waking up. Speak your truth. They can't unhear you. This is why they have hearings in court, why it's an oral testimony, because you have to be heard, and they cannot unhear you, even if they don't like what they're hearing, even if you become unpopular. That's the work of the truthers right now. But you better be able to put your own oxygen mask on. So find your community gardens, find your private water sources if you can, and just know that there's answers coming because this is the end of them. This is the end of these guys. It's the end because we're waking up. It's our light. It's our dawn. What do we want to do with our light? What do we want to shine it on? You want to shine it on healing or you want to shine it on the problems? Well, it's important we know what the nuts and bolts of the problems are, but Most of us already know these problems are pretty big, and just talking about reptilians or something, that's not going to solve anything. It's not going to make anything better. What's going to make things better is action, and that means getting others to, join you. Like you were just saying, join the community. Find your common unity in your community, because that's what it's coming down to, and then get out of debt if you can, and find your own ways to trade, barter, and work with others, because when the economy crashes, just so you know, when I got out, I freaked out in 2007 when the debt became $1 trillion. That was like 8 to 9 times greater than the amount of debt that caused the Great Depression. That freaked me out. And again, we're at $24 trillion. That's just current debt. That's not even derivatives debt or any pension debt. They're already cutting the pension. The Social Security money's not going to be there. All the baby boomers are retiring at the same time. They're cutting out the money, the Medicare. It's not going to be there. So it's going to be incumbent on each one of us, but in those times of suffering, we turn to each other. That's what I saw in Paradise. That's what I saw in Santa Rosa. That's what I see under all these attacks. The people come together, and that's where we're going to happen. So plan on that happening, and then, work your plan. And
Jamie, if you don't believe reptilians, Jamie, this is Bob again. If you don't believe reptilians exist, they just knocked us off the system because they don't want us to have this program out there. But I was going to ask, a lot of what you're saying is I agree with what you're saying, but I had to ask you, have you ever seen the movie Jupiter Ascending?
No, tell me about it.
Jupiter Ascending is a movie about a group of people in outer space, in different galaxies or different solar systems that are farming humans. They actually control humans for the sole purpose of farming. They eat them, and they sell them into slave labor, and on this planet, and they also take them off planet. In the United States alone, there's over 1 million people every year that they take out of the country, and worldwide it's over 20 million people that are taken off planet, never to be seen again. Are you familiar with this?
Well, there's another movie with Scarlett Johansson called The Island, where they're harvesting growing people that think they're alive just to be organ donors for those that are paying the insurance for it. Have you seen that one?
Well, that's yeah, I'm familiar with that one too. And see, that's what's really going on, and what's
no, that's not true. What's really going on? Because first, the solar system is debunked. The outworld entities have been implanted into you that you think there might be these others. Well, in fact, these are the adrenochrome, the Epsteins, the child pedophilias, and they're telling you the story so you think it's off-world entity when it's your fellow man doing this. These are children harvesting. They're doing. They're taking their organs. They get $26,000 for a kidney. That's why they're incarcerating the homeless. This isn't some outworld entity, sir. It's not. It's our own.
But Jamie, the part you don't understand is what we think is a fellow man is not a fellow man.
Okay, well that's debatable and
that's
whatever, but I can
into human form.
And punch him in the nose. That's what we have to be able to do: is look somebody in the eye and be able to punch him in the nose. And you can't do that. Think about, sir, how many people watch a screen on a TV and then they start talking about him like they're their owner. One person directing 320 million people you're only going to meet on a screen, and they're your representative? I mean, how mind-controlled do they have us? Is that insane that you look on a screen on a TV and you talk about them incessantly like you know them, and then you obey them? Trump says this, Obama says that. That's so ludicrous. And they're your representative because you vote? Oh, my gosh, they got us by the balls. Take back your power. Grow, and it only comes if your limbic brain is satisfied. And this is what Mark Passio said. Subliminally, they message you, oh, the aliens are doing this, or you need us to obey, or we don't be a bully, or LBGT. LBGT was just brought out so they could do the pedophilia thing. And when Epstein's story came out on purpose, Jeffrey Epstein, that allegedly, was doing all the servicing for all the presidents, for all the underage women, they're calling them underage women. No, it's childhood rape. That's what we got to talk about, not whether or not they're alien or not, or they're other worldly beings hiding in a physical body. So what? It's still somebody you can look, touch, and feel. I can go up to, one of these Jesuit guys that are running the show, or one of these guys, and you could be, the blue bloods. Every president has the same bloodline. They're all negative blood. That's why they call them blue bloods. And no president has not been a part of the same bloodline. So, yeah, you could be right. They could be reptilian. They could be blue blood. They could be David Icke's story. The moon could be hollow. I mean, all these things he talks about, but that doesn't matter in my opinion. What matters is the physicalness of their realm is still here. So let's deal on the physical plane. We can arrest these people. We can frog march them down. We can take back the power in our communities. Every community has child pedophilia issues. Every community has Freemasons running the show. Every community. Let's go after them. They're the people we can look, touch, and feel. And let's put them away. Let's start bringing some names out. No CEOs ever go to jail for all their crimes committed against nature. None. Nobody ever gets in trouble at the high end because they're not accountable. There's no accountability. We're not holding them accountable. So, because we can't. And like you said about the police departments, they're all corrupt. Just like in Paradise, they're all corrupt. And they just murdered 50,000 people, 20,000 people with their directed energy weapons. And I had visits in the night, 4 months, of the people that were in limbo that died that day and didn't know why they died. And they were coming at me at night. Don't let Paradise Story die, please. Don't let us die in vain. We don't know why we're here. They would visit me in my dreams. Very real. This is real games, folks, we're playing. And we can't worry about other entities off planet, off dimension, because we have to deal with what we can handle and what we can tangibly change. So write your own laws. Be your own power. Speak your truth. If not now, you're going to be shut up. It's going to happen. Just study World War II and World War I. Study the Great Depression. Study the Black Plague. We're getting hit with Yersinia pestis. This Black Plague drill is going live.